Hey guys, pleasure to have you in here for the Inside Talk podcast here with Andrew Oakes. First time doing anything like this. We're going to see how it goes. Hopefully we can get better and better as it goes on, and this is going to be kind of like a test run, just see if anyone listens, and if you are, pleasure to have you listening, and make sure to smash that like button if you enjoy. So we're going to get right into it. As everybody knows, the NBA playoffs has gone underway here. Not many surprises, except for obviously Cleveland getting knocked off in the first game against Indiana. It's easy to overreact. Obviously, your first reaction, you see LeBron lose for the first time after, in the first round after winning 21 straight first round playoff games. The last time that happened, I believe Obama had just been reelected a second term, and One Direction was still around. So, it's been a long time, so it's obviously the first thing to do you'd think would be to overreact, but I'm here to tell you, he's going to be all right, guys. All right, Oladipo had a out-of-his-mind great game last night. He's easily going to be the most improved player. It's not even close, in my opinion. You've got people like Andre Drummond, who's done a great job, and Clint Capella, obviously, but those are big men. It's a lot easier for them to improve, and I think, they've got the guards dumping them the ball down low. Clint Capella, actually, I believe, was in the top 3 in big men as far as layups goes this year. I know that number 1, obviously, being Steven Adams from Russell Westbrook. But, Oladipo had a great game, guys. 32, I think, 6 and 4, along with 4 steals. He has some help from the bench players as well, and his supporting cast. Miles Turner is no joke, guys. He's going to average a double-double in this series and probably average 2 to 3 blocks as well, because he is just that legit. People are going to find out just how good he is. Obviously playing in Indiana, don't get a lot of national televised games, but he is very good. LeBron, I don't want to go to jump as far as to say that he had a poor game, but by LeBron James standards, he did have a poor game. Did get a triple-double, but as we've seen with Russell Westbrook, and I'm a fan of Russ, but as we've seen with him even, triple-doubles don't always equate to wins, although the Thunder do have a pretty good record when he does get the triple-double. You look at the starting lineup, you look at the stats from the starting lineup, and they've got to get more. And Ty Lue is got to take some of the heat for that Game 1 performance, because he is getting out-coached from the other side there, from Nate McMillan. He's just getting flat-out out-coached. He got out-coached in the first game. You start Jeff Green, so they go small with Jeff Green at the 4. 26 minutes he plays, he has 0 points, 4 rebounds. He shoots 0 for 7, including 0 for 3 from the three-point line. Kevin Love still recovering from that broken hand injury that he's had, and a couple of other personal issues that he's detailed through the Players Tribune. Gives you 9 and 17. 17 boards is great, but 9 points, that's not going to get the job done. He goes 3 for 8. He did make 3 threes. Those were all of his points. I'd like to see him attack the rim a little bit more, even though I know that's not really how they use him. I'd like to see him maybe go down in the paint and try to draw some contact. Just not enough help from the supporting cast for LeBron here. He went for 24, 10, and 12. He shot 41% from the field, 7 for 17. I mean, it's not terrible, but they're gonna need, like Nick Wright said on First Things First earlier this morning, they're gonna need what he called playoff LeBron. Paul George on OKC said, you don't know playoff P. Well, they're going to need playoff LeBron in Cleveland if they are going to even get past the Pacers in this first round. I mean, you look at who is all on Indiana, and this is not a scrub team. They managed to get the 5 seed in the East for a reason. Oladipo is just crazy out of his mind this year. Did not see this coming after the year that he had last year. I know that he detailed how he was offended by being traded, and he got himself into shape. And I don't know if it's because he's not playing with Russ and getting to be on his own team is better for him being the number 1 guy or not. But Paul George playing with Russ has shot a career-high 3-point percentage this season and, made a career-high in 3-point makes for his career. So it was a pretty good trade for both teams. it's going to be a tough series. I can see, Indiana took game 1. I can see this series going 6 games now at this point. I think Cleveland comes out strong and takes game 2, and I think they actually take it pretty easily, because I think LeBron's going to gather the troops, and they're going to come out with a sense of urgency, and he's going to, I think he's going to put up 40, probably in a triple-double effort. I think Kevin Love comes out and gives him 20, and I think Jeff Green has a bounce-back game, and I'd like to see Kyle Korver play a few more minutes. I know that he's also coming back. They got a lot of injuries and a lot of lineup changes and shifts, but I'd like to see him coming back too, and playing more than 3 minutes that he played last night. So, game 2 is on Wednesday. We'll see how that goes. I expect Cleveland to win the series in 6, though. I don't expect in any means for Indiana to steal that series. And I would pump the brakes on being so concerned right now. I really would. Now, transitioning from that, I want to talk about, obviously everybody knows the dark horse event that's going to be happening this offseason is LeBron's, once again a free agent. He's been doing those 2-year deals since he came back to Cleveland, a 2-year deal, or I think he did a 1-year deal and an opt-out the second year, and then a 2-year deal and an opt-out after the second year. And this being his 4th season in Cleveland now, I think that I don't want to say that it's title or he's going to leave, because I don't know that he even knows that. But from what I've heard and from what I've seen all over Twitter and for the Twittersphere and watching SportsCenter every day and several different talk shows, I believe that if he does not make it to the finals, and if the Cleveland does not put up a fight, meaning 6 games or 7, at least a 6-game series, because they lost in 5 with Kyrie last year, remember, to the Golden State Warriors. So he's already gotten there against this Warriors team with Kevin Durant and lost in 5 games. And if you're LeBron James, you're looking at your finals record right now, and you're 3-4. You don't want to be 3-5. He actually might be 3-5 right now, and if he is, that's even worse. You don't want to be 3-5, 3-6. And so this, like Stephen A. has said, this would be the perfect year for him to, quote-unquote, bounce out early, because although it'll shock the world that he doesn't make it to the finals, because I believe this would be his, 8th straight finals? He made 4 with Miami, 3 with Cleveland. This would be number 8 in a row. That is unheard of, unprecedented, and it's impressive. But if he does not go to the finals and put up a good fight, and I say him because Cleveland's team is made of exceptional role players. They are good bench players. Not one player besides Kevin Love has ever made an all-star team on that roster. And I just don't see it. I don't see why he would want to stay there. I'm looking at the roster. I'm looking at the fact that Kevin Love is going to enter his 30s here. I'm looking at the fact that Jeff Green is in his 30s. He's in the starting lineup. George Hill is old. Rodney Hood is a few years away from being championship caliber ready right now. Like people have been talking about how they went through 3 seasons in 1. That could not be more accurate. You start out the season. Me personally, I looked at the bench and I thought, wow, they've got a starting lineup in their bench itself. Derrick Rose, Kyle Korver, Channing Frye, Jeff Green, Tristan Thompson. I didn't see a problem. I did not see the struggles on defense like there were. I didn't see that coming. Then you go with the saga with Isaiah Thomas every day after the games when he's not even playing, calling out teammates in the meetings, and he's going up to Kevin Love in the meeting and he's cussing him out when Isaiah Thomas hasn't played a single game. Me personally, I would have told him to shut up and turn around and walk the other way. Okay, and I would have literally thrown it back in his face. Where are you? You haven't played a single game. We're through, what did he miss? 18 games of the season, I believe. If not more than that. And they went on that 19-game win streak to start the season without him. So if you're Kevin Love, you go out like he's detailed, his issues with mental health and everything. If you go out of a game, a nationally televised game against Toronto, I believe it was, And you got a guy that hasn't played a single game yet this season, who's throughout the season has been calling out teammates left and right. I mean, who do you think you are? I tell you to turn around, sit your butt back down, and let the real leader, LeBron James, deal with, the locker room, okay? And let him speak. So, you think about all the different things that LeBron has had to deal with through the different meetings that have gone on, the constant media circus that's going on. Ty Lue leaves the team back in early March, mid-March, due to a personal issue. He's not sleeping. He can't handle the pressure of coaching the team, the difficulties of coaching the team. So he's gone. They get Larry Drew to coach the team while he's gone. And then, of course, 6 players are traded, 4 come in, all from different teams. And he loses his buddy D. Wade because everybody's saying that Dwayne Wade and LeBron James are causing an issue in the locker room because of how close they are as teammates. So just a lot of things for a 33-year-old LeBron James who's worried about his legacy at this point. These guys on the Cavaliers are just worried about the right now. LeBron's always calculated. Every move that he makes is calculated. You better believe that it is. He doesn't make a single move without knowing how it's going to affect himself personally and his brand. And personally, I believe, like I said, if they don't make it up to 6 games against Golden State or Houston or whoever makes it into the NBA Finals, who I believe will be Golden State, I could see him going to a few places. I think if you're talking about building your brand and marketing-wise, I think you look to go to the Lakers. I think you look to go to LA and join Lonzo Ball and maybe another superstar in Paul George, who I don't know that I have ever understood the Paul George thing, because they both play the 3. You can play Paul at the 4, but he's kind of small to guard 4s. He's great defensively, but I don't know if I want him playing people down low, even though the 4 position is basically gone from the NBA now, the way that all these guys can shoot. If he's thinking about brands, if he's thinking about marketing, I would go to LA. If he's thinking about extending his legacy and further pushing the envelope in the conversation of who's better, him or Michael Jordan, which I believe he still thinks about every day to this day, you go to Houston. You can't go to Golden State, because if you go to Golden State, it's not even going to help your resume if you win. Because think about all the crap that Kevin Durant got when he went. Can you imagine what would happen to LeBron, the greatest player on the planet for the last 10 years at least, if he went to a team with already 4 All-Stars? It would actually make his legacy worse. It would ruin his legacy even more than losing another 3 finals. I honestly believe that. So I think Houston would be his best bet if he's looking to win rings right now. If you're looking to, be the favorite in the East and challenge the Warriors legitimately out of the East and guarantee yourself a spot out of the East, you go to Philly. Ben Simmons is basically a poor man's LeBron James without a jump shot. But I can argue that his IQ and his basketball acumen and ability to find players on the floor is second to none right now besides LeBron James in the NBA. And Lonzo Ball is right up there as well, but I'll take Ben Simmons as a passer right now over Lonzo Ball. And obviously you got Joel Embiid, who, if he's healthy, he's a top 3 big man in the league already in his second season. So a lot of different possible destinations for LeBron. I do believe that what happens this playoffs is going to be very telling as to whether or not he seriously considers leaving Cleveland. I think right now he has no idea. What I've heard out of his camp from multiple different people through shows and everything is that he doesn't have any idea. I do think, though, that whoever he chooses, we will end up finding out that there is another big star coming with him. I think even if he goes to Philadelphia, they have the cap to bring another solid star over there. If that's Paul George, I don't know that. I don't know. But I just don't think as constructed, I don't even think LeBron in Philly with the roster they have right now, I still don't think they get over the hump in Golden State. Golden State's just too powerful. They have offense is too good. When they want to, they play great defense. So I think he's got to bring another star with him. And could you swing a trade for Boogie Cousins? I don't know. I mean, Blake Griffin maybe, but he's tied into Detroit. I don't know. But I do believe that, again, if they don't make it to the finals and they're not competitive, and if he loses in the first or second round, guys, if he does not even get into the Eastern Conference Finals, he's gone. He's absolutely gone unless Cleveland makes a big move, and they don't have the cap space to do it. They don't have the flexibility to make a move right now. Think about it, guys. They have that draft pick, but that's all they have. They are totally into the penalty right now, and they don't have any room. They don't have the room that LA has. Clippers or Lakers, they don't have the room that Philly even has. Houston, Daryl Morey, he's willing to pay that luxury tax. And you think about the fit over there. I saw this thing on Twitter. You put Paul Harden, LeBron, and Paul George in there with Clint Capella, they're beating Golden State next year. Those four and a much improved Clint Capella, they're beating Golden State next year. Unless LeBron falls off a cliff or Chris Paul is not the same player that we see this year, but I don't see that happening. I think Chris Paul's got a couple more years left. I think LeBron still has 3 more years as the best player in the world, 2 at least. So yeah, guys, I believe that, he's going to go to one of those destinations, and if he stayed in Cleveland, to be completely honest, I'd be very shocked and very surprised, but we'll have to see. Obviously, you guys have seen the latest news headlining around the NFL. Dez Bryant released from the Dallas Cowboys. I personally did not see it coming. I never thought the day would come. I thought that Jerry Jones takes care of his players, which is usually well documented. I would be very surprised if he stayed in the NFC East, because I saw that he said to the Cowboys when he left that he will see them twice next year. I'm looking at the teams in the NFC East. Obviously, there's only 3 left. You got Washington, you got New York, and you got Philly. And I think it comes down to more of a issue of who needs them. Who needs them? Washington. I think Washington would be his best bet. You've got a pretty good defense over there in Washington. I mean, it needs work, yeah, but Alex Smith is a less of a risk-taking, but he'll take care of the ball better than Kirk Cousins ever could, and I trust him in the crunch time against a team like Dallas, against a team like Philly in the playoffs more than I would ever trust Kirk Cousins, and that's why, as a Packer fan, I was more than happy when they signed Kirk to a 3-year deal in Minnesota, because he does not scare me. Case Keenum scares me more than Kirk Cousins, so Dez Bryant could be looking at Washington. Philadelphia, if he managed to somehow go there, I mean, it would definitely improve their offense. It wouldn't hurt him. If he can sign for $7 or $8 million a year, I wouldn't pay him more than $8 or $9 million. That's for sure. He's not a number one guy anymore. He can't separate. The speed is gone. He is a guy that realized his talent well after it was too late. He did not mature in time. When he was in his peak in 2014, there was a discussion: who is better, Julio Jones or Dez Bryant? And that was a toss-up when that last full year with Tony Romo. That was a toss-up. He had put up spectacular numbers. Do I think he can help a team right now? Absolutely. A team like Philadelphia, who lost to Jordan Matthews last year, doesn't really have that big threat in the receiver position. Zach Ertz is fantastic. I think he could help the Eagles. I don't see the Giants being a possibility with Odell there. I think Odell and Dez, those two big personalities, those two big egos, I don't see that working out, and I don't see him wanting to play with an Eli Manning, although Eli Manning is a very similar quarterback to Tony Romo from the standpoint that they're older, kind of nimble, an injury away from being, a career ender, but pocket passer, can make the big plays in the big moments. So I could see it, but it's probably the least likely of the 3 options. People have been bringing up Green Bay a lot on my Twitter. I wouldn't mind it. It would definitely help our offense. Right now, we're looking at a pretty thin depth chart offensively at the wide receiver position. If we could, $7 or $8 million, that's where I would put it at. 7 or 8. I would absolutely not give him more than $9 million. I wouldn't give him double figures. I don't think he's worth it anymore. We just gave Devontae Adams, $15 million a year? I don't think he's worth anything close to what Devontae's getting. So, we'll see what happens, But, again, guys, I wouldn't be surprised to see Dez Bryant. And this is what I honestly think is going to happen. I think Dez is going to look at his options. I think he's going to say, okay, I could go to Green Bay, but they already have a number one. Because I think Dez is out to prove something this year. I think he wants to be the number one receiver. I do. I don't think he wants to be a number two. I think he's going to get paid like it. I don't think he thinks in his own mind that he's a number two. I think he's going to be in Washington with Alex Smith next year. If I had to put money on it, I'm going to say Alex Smith next year is probably where he's going to be ending up. And I think he's actually going to have a pretty good year. I bet he goes for over 1,000 yards, probably 8 or 9 touchdowns, and he does have a bounce-back year. I wouldn't be surprised at all. But we will see. Transitioning from the NFL, we go back to the NBA, and I was going through Twitter late last night before I fell asleep, and I saw that for the first weekend of the NBA playoffs, and this makes me happy being a longtime NBA fan since I was born, NBA ratings have been through the roof for the opening weekend of the playoffs, up 17% from just last year. That's great news, obviously, if you're an NBA fan. I'm going to talk about in a little bit why, I think that the NBA is progressing further than the NFL and why the NFL ratings are actually going down, because I think people have a misconception of the real reason why it's going down, or one of the real reasons. But just talking about the NBA ratings, I think that talent has a big thing to do with it. I think that the talent in the NBA across the board has never... Teams in general, the strength of teams and the amount of teams that I would say are teams that you would be okay with, watching on a team. There's not as many teams that you say, okay, I don't ever want to see this team on a nationally televised broadcast game anymore. Like Phoenix, Atlanta, Sacramento, the Knicks maybe when Porzingis is out. There's not that many teams that aren't good basketball right now. You even look at a team like LA, who's poor record, I guess, but they've got exciting young stars. You look at a team like Denver. Didn't make the playoffs, but they've got exciting young stars. And the NBA has done a great job of developing talent. I don't think that the one-and-done rule in basketball is nearly a big of issue as it is in the NFL. The G League is only progressing better and better. We're only getting better talent from the G League. You just saw that situation with Andre Ingram, the 31-year-old from LA on the Lakers, spent 10 years in the G League, comes out, scores 18 in his first NBA game, and had a solid game the next. So, NBA is doing a great job. I think Adam Silver has taken over for David Stern and done a fantastic job of progressing the game and evolving with the times, something that the NFL has not done a good job of doing. You look at where teams are right now. What's been the big thing that everyone's been saying about LeBron's career is that he's had a cakewalk through the East. Well, not this year, guys. Not this year. It's not going to be a cakewalk. You see Philadelphia. Philadelphia came out of nowhere. They went from 22 wins to 50. 51, I believe. 51 or 52 wins. They are a legitimate challenge to LeBron this year, and everyone is excited to see it. Kyrie goes to Boston. Okay, now Boston is a legitimate challenge. Because Boston was the number 1 seed last year, but you got to remember LeBron and company basically canned it in and said, you know what, we'll rest you guys, get the number 1 seed. Pretty much what Golden State did with Houston this year. And LeBron and company were never afraid, trust me, were never afraid of Boston last year. They never were. So you got that. Kyrie goes to Boston. Boston is a legitimate challenger to Cleveland until Kyrie goes down. Hayward goes down. Even now, though, they're putting up a good fight. Just one game, won against my Bucks last night. So you look at that. You look at the fact that the teams are better in the East. You look at the West. Last year, as Stephen A. Smith so, gratefully and well elocuted the fact that there really was no point in looking forward to the NBA playoffs last year. We all knew who was going to the finals. It was going to be Golden State, and it was going to be Cleveland. There really was no legitimate challenger to Cleveland last year. You want to tell me that a Boston Celtics team led by a 5'9" Isaiah Thomas with a bad hip is going to challenge LeBron James, 6'8", 250 pounds, complete train locomotive coming at you with a Kyrie Irving who was healthy and a Kevin Love? No way. And in the West, you look out west, Houston had 10 less wins last year. And that was the next closest. San Antonio, they were close. They had a chance. Kawhi goes down in Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. It's over. So we knew it. So that's a big reason why the ratings are up. There's competition. There is hope that maybe we will not get the same matchups. You got a lot of exciting young talent. Rookies, specifically Ben Simmons, if you consider him a rookie, which I'm on the fence. I mean, he is a rookie, but he's not. Donovan Mitchell, I'd have to say, is probably the best offensive scoring rookie I have seen personally. Born in 1998. Best offensive rookie I have seen personally since Kevin Durant, I would have to say. Probably since Kevin Durant in 2007. So, you put all that together, I mean, it's an exciting time in the NBA. It's an exciting time to be an NBA fan. Now we switch gears, we go to the NFL, we go to the opposite side of the spectrum here. And now why their ratings have dropped 2 years in a row. And I'm here to tell you, it's not because of the kneeling. It's not because of the protesting. Is that a factor? Absolutely. It's absolutely a factor because some people are of that mindset. They are old school. It doesn't matter how you protest. Nobody wants to see it. Nobody wants politics interfering with their sports. It's the one place you go to not deal with that, to escape everything. I've heard it all. I've heard everything that has to do with why protesting shouldn't be going on. But if you're the NFL, you got to look, and you see these ratings are going up in the NBA, you got to take a look back at yourself. What are you not doing? Why are your ratings going down when there have been protests in the NBA? Now, people aren't sitting down on the benches during the anthem, but there have been people. I think of when LeBron and company protested, when he was on the Heat with Dwayne Wade, protested the shooting of young Trayvon Martin, God rest his soul. Prayers out to the family. When he was shot down. And how that whole team, they wore all of those black sweatshirts and hoodies kind of as a tribute and at the same time a protest to police violence. And I think about all the different times. You think about the times that LeBron wore the black shirt and they were wearing the I Can't Breathe shirts on the court during the warm-ups. So there have been protests, yet the ratings didn't go down. Why? Well, the NBA has done a fantastic job. They say, you can do whatever you want, but we're going to come and have a meeting, a collective bargaining agreement meeting about what we feel is best for the NBA. And they decided they weren't going to protest. They decided that wasn't going to happen. Now, you ask, well, what's the difference between, the NBA and everybody and the players agreeing? Well, the NFL players wouldn't agree if the NFL and the NFL Players Association, if they had a meeting, the players would do it anyways. Well, there's a difference between when you choose not to do something and you come to an agreement on not doing something, and when you are told that you cannot do something. You know, if I'm going to go to the store and get a donut every morning, I choose to do that. I want to do it. But if someone comes up to me and says, Andrew, you have to get a donut this morning. You have to get a donut every morning. I'm probably not going to want to get it anymore because of the fact that you're telling me I have to. And that is what's going on with the NFL. They are not evolving with the time. They're not evolving with change. And from a business perspective, I understand where the owners are coming from. At the end of the day, it is all about the money. It's all about the money. But it can't always be about the money. It can't. That can't always be the bottom line. And the ratings are down from a perspective that the NFL is not evolving not only with the protests, but you also have to factor in the fact that players are coming out every day, it seems like, detailing. Brett Favre just had an interview stating how he thinks he's had, obviously, in hyperbole, stating that he thinks he's had over 1,000 concussions in his career. Every day, I feel like another bit of data of research comes out about just how dangerous the NFL is and all these players dealing with CTE. You think back to Aaron Hernandez. After his death, after he passed away, them saying he had one of the worst cases of CTE they'd ever seen in a individual his age. That is alarming. And because of that, the NFL has made a lot of changes to how to tackle and the different equipment and the different requirements for how you have to play the game. And they're a lot more cautious now of allowing big hits and where to hit them and everything like that. And before last year, you couldn't celebrate in the end zone after a touchdown anymore. Basically, you had to just grab the ball and hand it to the ref. Which, if you think about the NBA, they're all about personalities over there. When you see Russell Westbrook in a post-game interview, he's going to come with that fashionable outfit that's, going to open your eyes, and you're going to think, I would never wear that, but that's Russell Westbrook. I don't know what Russell Wilson wears outside of games, after games and everything like that. I don't know what... Heck, I can't even say that I truthfully know Odell Beckham's real personality because he's not allowed to show it. If he shows it, it's flagged. He gets a penalty, and it hurts his team. It's the NFL, bottom line, is really more about the brand and protecting the brand than it is about protecting its players. And because it's been more about the brand, they have changed a lot of rules, and that has turned fans off. Me, I love the NFL. I love sports. It's what I love. It's what I want to do, which is why I'm trying this podcast thing out, because that is ultimately what I am going to college for and what I plan on doing. So I will never stop watching football until the day it becomes two-hand touch. Then I'll stop. But not everybody's like that. Some people, they want to see what they had before. It's like with the protesting thing. You're used to what you're used to. And if you're not used to seeing people kneel for the anthem, if you're not used to people not being able to tackle a certain way, it turns you off. And that's just how it is. And the NBA has the ability to say, well, our sport, while it is contact, is not nearly as dangerous. So a lot of kids are going to basketball over football. And I think that, unfortunately, but fortunately at the same time, with all this research that's come out, the NFL is losing a little bit of popularity, not only with viewers, but with young kids coming up. People are looking more towards the NBA than ever before. And that honestly doesn't surprise me. So we had a couple of game ones happen on Saturday. 4 more yesterday. I want to run through those 4 yesterday, what my opinions and thoughts were from those results. Obviously, I'm going to start with the Bucks and Celtics. I am from the Milwaukee area, so I root for my Bucks. And it was a great game to watch. I didn't get to watch everything. But I did watch almost the entire game, and I'll tell you, what a game. This is going to be a great series, man. This is going to be a great series, guys. This is going to be a dogfight. And I'm confused because we played Boston in the beginning of the year. The Bucks played Boston in the beginning of the year, and we beat them in Boston with a healthy Gordon Hayward and a healthy Kyrie. And I honestly think we have just gotten so much worse, the Bucks have, as the year has gone on. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the coaching, which I will get to later in another podcast. But it's been tough for the Milwaukee Bucks this season. And as much as I want to pick them to win the series, I got to pick Boston. Boston in 7 games. And I'm tempted to say 6. I'm tempted to say that they'll close out the series in Milwaukee, which is what happened to Milwaukee last year against Toronto. But I'll give it 7, but I say Boston wins in 7. Obviously, you had a great game for Jason Tatum. He continues to impress everybody, including myself. I did not see this coming from him at all. He's been the number one surprise for me. Even more than Donovan Mitchell, even more than Ben Simmons for sure, is because of the consistency that this young man at 19 years old has shown to lead this Boston Celtics team. Because you got to remember, Kyrie didn't just get injured. He's been injured on and off throughout the year. Gordon Hayward goes down. Jason Tatum, first game of the season, immediately his role is bumped up and the pressure is increased. Immediately. He didn't get that much time to acclimate himself to the NBA game. He didn't get a year off like a Ben Simmons did. So, from that respect, I give him a lot of respect and a lot of credit, which is why I have him 3rd in my Rookie of the Year voting behind Ben Simmons, and I have Donovan Mitchell winning it. Al Horford continues to impress me. He was a solid player in Atlanta. You put him in a Brad Stevens, who I believe is the coach of the year. You put him in a Brad Stevens offense, he is just absolutely taken to the next level. He had 24, 12, and 4 last night, along with Terry Rozier coming up at 23 and Jaylen Brown with 20. Rozier is big time, man. Rozier is coming. He's coming. And he is not going to take no for an answer for much longer. And he's going to have his big moment. And he did last night. So, yeah, I truly believe that he's coming. His time is coming. And there's not much, Milwaukee, same old. Giannis has 13 boards to lead the team because we are just one of the worst, if not the worst, defensive rebounding team that I've ever seen in Milwaukee. He had 35, 13, and 7, along with Middleton, who had that huge game-tying 3 to send it to overtime. He had 31, 8, and 6. Great game for him. Brogdon just came back not too long ago. He had 16, 4, and 3. Bledsoe had a very off game, 9, 4, and 4. He shot 4 for 12 from the field. I was waiting for him to wake up. It didn't happen. He's so streaky. He's on and off. He has great games. He has bad games. He's either really good or he's really bad, and that's what I've realized for him. And I don't know if we're keeping him past this year or not, but I'm not sure that he'll be with the Bucks next year. Quick rundown again of the Cavaliers game. Indiana takes the game 1, 98-80. Lance Stevenson always plays well against LeBron. He loves to play LeBron. They've got a funny little thing between those two. And he had a pretty good game. Always exceeds his own talent when he plays LeBron. Something comes out in Lance Stevenson when he plays LeBron James. LeBron, now, let's not get it twisted. Lance does not hold LeBron down. LeBron has a good game every time they play, but Lance is competitive, man. And he's somebody I would want on my team if he can keep himself under control in the big moments. So, again, we'll see how Game 2 goes for Cleveland. I say Cleveland bounces back and has a big performance in Game 2 and probably takes Game 3 as well and 4. I think that wraps up in 6 in Indiana. Utah fell to the Oklahoma City Thunder 108-116 last night. Paul George with a playoff career-high 8 3-pointers. Russell Westbrook had another pretty impressive game all-around performance of 29, 13, and 8. He shot 10 for 25 from the field. Melo had a hot first half, cooled down in the second half, really didn't do much on the offense. Steven Adams played 36 minutes, 12 points and 7 rebounds with 3 assists. Corey Brewer made his return to the lineup, actually. Played a full 33 minutes, had 7 points, 11 points off the bench from Alex Abrines. On the Utah side of the box score, Ricky Rubio. If you guys don't forget, Ricky Rubio was actually a very highly anticipated and coveted prospect coming out of Spain. Like, when he was drafted by Minnesota, there was a lot of expectation on this man's shoulders. And he underachieved for a while because he had no jump shot. He really still doesn't have a jump shot, but he's a spot-up 3 shooter now. He can hit that spot-up 3. You don't want to leave him open anymore. Kind of like Rondo has kind of developed it a little bit. And he had a pretty good game as well. You know, he can't guard Russ. He can't. So that's why I'm going to pick OKC in 6 here. Because he cannot guard Russell Westbrook. Donovan Mitchell cannot guard Russell Westbrook. Joe Ingles cannot guard Paul George. And Steven Adams and Rudy Gobert, that's a toss-up. I'll take either one of those. If you had to make me pick, I'd probably choose Steven Adams, just because of the toughness that he brings to the team. Russell Westbrook is the leader of that Oklahoma City squad, and he is the fire, but Steven Adams is the bruiser mentality. He's the Kendrick Perkins of the modern-day era. He is. Even ask, who was that? Jimmy Butler, how it feels to be screened by a Steven Adams, a 6'10", 260-pound Steven Adams. It's not fun. So I got Oklahoma City in 6 games. Don't be surprised if it's over in 5. Minnesota went to Houston last night. I honestly thought that this was going to be more of a blowout. Turned on the TV. To my surprise, it was a close one. I do want to go over that one point in the ball game there. If you guys saw, there was a point where Harden's at the line. I believe the score was 105-98. Harden misses a free throw. Karl-Anthony Towns gets the rebound, and everyone just stands still. Nobody moves. And then Harden's asking for the ball back. Next thing I know, Karl-Anthony Towns bullets the pass down to Jimmy Butler, I believe, or no, it was Derrick Rose, and he gives a bounce pass to Andrew Wiggins, and it's a dunk. And everybody thought that it was the first or the second free throw. And it was just one of the most bizarre plays you'll ever see. And I thought it was funny because Karl-Anthony Towns definitely travels because he goes to give the referee the ball. And then when he realizes, I'm sure the referee told him that, you know, it's a live ball. And then he travels, takes 3 or 4 steps, and then the play continues, and they got a dunk out of it. And a pretty key moment in the game. Luckily, it didn't come back to be the deciding basket. Or wow, that would have been a much bigger story because I didn't even hear that talked about in the postgame. So, you know, Houston, obviously the better team. They are the 8 seed. I think that Minnesota matches up well with Houston. I really do. I think Karl-Anthony Towns is a much better player than Clint Capella. I think Jimmy Butler can he hold James Harden? James Harden just had, 44 last night? Not really, because James Harden is just too good. He's got too many weapons in his arsenal. I mean, you can't know what he's doing. If you press up, he's going to go by you. If you sag off, he's going to shoot a 3 right in your face. And if you're in the middle, he's going to step back, and then he's going to create room for himself to shoot that 3. I mean, he's just Mike D'Antoni said it earlier in the season, he's the best isolation player he's ever seen. I don't know that that's inaccurate. I mean, Michael Jordan was fantastic, but I just don't know how far off that statement was. I mean, with that skill set, I don't know how. I think he's up there. He's up there. Win a championship. I mean, we got a real discussion. Clint Capella, 24 and 12, had a good game, 3 blocks, 1 steal. Chris Paul, 14, 3 and 4. Not a great game, but they still won the game. I got Houston winning this one in 5 games, closing it out in Houston. I'd be surprised if it went more than 6. I do not think Houston will see an elimination game until the conference finals. I'd be very surprised because they will get OKC in the second round. I love Russ. I love OKC, but I don't see them stretching that out more than 6 games. Probably going to be over in 5 like it was last year. All right, and moving forward, we've got the Philadelphia 76ers in Game 2 of the first round, going back into Philly to play Miami for Game 2. Now, I'm just looking at what I saw Saturday night. It was a close game through the first half. The score does not indicate just how close that game was. It doesn't do it justice. They pulled away midway through the third and the fourth quarter, obviously. I think Philly, J.J. Redick is an largely understated player and plays a very key role in that team experience-wise. And I just don't think Miami has the firepower. This isn't the Dwayne Wade of 10 years ago. If it was, I'd give them a much better chance. I think Philadelphia takes this game again pretty easily. I don't think Miami really gives up much of a fight in this series, which is why I don't see LeBron going to Miami, because I've heard that possibility. Yeah, it sounds great. I'd love him to be back in South Beach. I'm sure his family would love to be back in South Beach, but from a basketball perspective, when you look at Philly, you look at Houston, you look at San Antonio, which I don't think he'll be going there after this whole Kawhi thing. You look at the Lakers, you look at whoever you want to say, Miami is at the bottom of all of those teams when it comes to competing for a title. And I've got Philadelphia winning this series probably in 5 games at the most. Got the Warriors going back home to play the Spurs tonight. Like I just got done saying with the Kawhi situation, it has been ruled out that Kawhi Leonard will not be coming back this year. He will not be playing for the rest of the playoffs. Played 9 games, I believe, after coming back from that quad tear and the quad injury, and he's just not having it. He's not coming back. I don't know what's going on. I've never seen a situation like this in my life where a player is cleared. He's cleared 2 months ago now from the team doctors. They think he's coming back. Everyone thinks he's coming back. I thought he was coming back. And he says, no, I'm not healthy. And this is to the Spurs. This isn't, the Knicks or a high-profile organization who, this isn't Tom Thibodeau, who's been known to grind Jimmy Butler into the ground with minutes, or Luol Deng. This is the Spurs, a team that has one player that played over 30 minutes a game on average, and that's LaMarcus Aldridge. 1 out of 12 that averaged 30 minutes a game this season. It doesn't make sense. I don't know if Kawhi is not happy with where he is. I know what I've heard. I know what the things that I've heard. I know I've heard that his uncle or his cousin, I think is his cousin, or his uncle has taken over, agent duties, if you will. And he's overseeing everything. And when Pop said today, ask Kawhi's group of guys if he's coming back, that's who he's referring to, is his inner circle, Kawhi's inner circle. I don't know if Kawhi just looked at this and said, you know what, they're not treating this serious enough. They think I'm lying, so you know what? I'm going to screw them over, and they can go kick rocks. I'm sitting out for the year, and I'm going to force my way out of here at the end of the season. I don't think Kawhi is coming back for the Spurs ever again. I think we've seen our last game with Kawhi in a Spurs uniform whatever day that was, against whoever it was when he left midway through the game. It's sad because San Antonio is a great organization who I respect a lot, just like New England. And they're not going to get equal trade value back for Kawhi. On Kawhi's end, he's not going to get that supermax now if he leaves, which he probably will. And I don't think San Antonio will give him that supermax after this fiasco. It's unfortunate on a bunch of different levels. It's shocking. Like I said, I've never seen or heard of anything like this. Closest thing I can think of is when Eli Manning said that he would not play, that he was going to pull a John Elway and not play if he was not drafted to the Giants. And we will see. We will see where Kawhi ends up. If I had to guess, I'd say he's going to I don't think he's going to the Lakers. Everyone says the Lakers when they bring up LA. I'm here to tell you, the Clippers are the team to look at. Who got Kevin Durant into Golden State? The logo, Jerry West. That's who got him. He's the one that had the final meeting with Kevin Durant and said, look, you want to get to where you want to be, you want to get championships, do you want to win multiple championships? You can win one in Oklahoma City, but you might win 3 or 4 here. That was Jerry West. And Jerry West is president of operations for who now? The LA Clippers. Doc Rivers, I think, if he can get a Kawhi Leonard, I think he's going to stay in LA. And if he doesn't, I think Mark Jackson could go to LA, or I think he's going to New York. I'd love to see him in Milwaukee, but I haven't heard a thing about it, so I don't think it's happening. Unfortunately. So I think Kawhi Leonard will look at the Clippers as a potential trade destination. I think he will look at New York. I think he'll look at Miami. I think Pat Riley and Mickey Arison could pull something off in Miami. But I don't see him staying in San Antonio. If he's in San Antonio at the start of next season, I will admit that I was wrong, but I don't see it. And I don't see why San Antonio would want him there after what he pulled this year. Do I believe him? I believe him. I think he looks at Isaiah Thomas, like I heard earlier on a talk show on First Things First, and I think he looks at Isaiah Thomas and he says, wait a minute, look at him. He played through the injury for Boston. He was in line to get big money this offseason. His contract is up this season, and he was in line for big money. Max contract money, and he's not going to get that this offseason. He's not. Isaiah Thomas is not going to get that. He might get $20 million a year, but he could have gotten 30. He could have gotten 30. And that's $10 million. That's a lot of dollars. So I think he looks at that and he says, I'm not going to risk my health, my dollars, my longevity, my playing career for a team that I don't feel like has my best interest at heart. And I can't blame him. And I can't say that if I truly felt that I wasn't healthy, because there's talk that apparently he does not play unless he's 100% healthy. Well, if that's how he is, how can you blame him? It is his body, it is his health. He probably looks at the team as well and says, this team's not orchestrated well enough to beat Golden State, even if I am in the lineup. So I can't blame him at all. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's talk show podcast. I appreciate everybody who's listened, everybody who's subscribed and given a thumbs up. I appreciate it very much. I will be back hopefully tomorrow. Got a lot of things to do. Going to have a long day. We'll see what happens with tonight's 2 playoff games. We'll see if any news comes up with Dez's upcoming free agency. And I'll be back within the week with another podcast. I appreciate it, guys. You guys take care. Enjoy the rest of your night. This is the Inside Talk Podcast.